I was the second of the oldest, and I mean, we had a pretty good time. It was a little bit secluded style of living. We had a strict dad. He wouldn't let us do anything, not even talk. So, yeah, I get along with everybody still, and we had a good life of, as far as could have been better, but for what we had. My dad was very strict and kind of didn't think about, giving any kind of fun or anything to the kids. We went to school, came home and went to bed.
Yeah, it was kind of rough.
Grandma, she was always happy-go-lucky, and she kind of held the family together. But my dad, he was a well driller, and he worked till he was about 35 and got sugar diabetes. And then he had hardening of the arteries. I mean, I think everybody gets that nowadays, but he took it more seriously, and he drank a lot, which didn't help. And so he kind of just figured everybody owed him his life, I guess. So he retired. He didn't work after he was in his mid-30s. So he had like an early retirement. And when he did work, he only made, a couple bucks an hour. And then so we didn't have, a lot of monies. So he'd get my mom usually a couple dollars to go buy groceries for 11 kids. And so we didn't have any fancy meals. Growing up, yeah, we just kind of had a quiet life. Couldn't do anything. I used to go to the farm on the weekends. His Russell Mack and his wife, and we go out there and help with chores and stuff in the barn. They had like a riding stable. He had 50 horses, and we go out there and just help them out, clean the barn, and they give me a couple dollars for working the weekend, and so I could bring it home and give it to my dad so he could buy beer with it. And then, but at least they give me a chance to get away. We lived all over because we could never pay our rent. We always got behind on rent, we'd get kicked out. But we lived on Dowd Street and Reardon in the Heights, 6th Street in the Heights. And I think we lived on Wood Street too. Then we moved on Warden. But we lived a few places I don't even remember. But yeah, we just moved around a lot. We get behind on rent, we get kicked out. Out we go. Oh, we lived on, I think it was on Reardon. We moved out in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. Just packed up and left.
Wow. Did you share a room with anyone?
Yes, I did. We only usually get a house, and I had never had more than 3 bedrooms. So I was in one bedroom with me, Jim, David, Chucky, and I think Alan. All of us was in one bedroom. And then the girls, I think Joey at that time was a baby, and he would sleep in my parents' room. And then the 3 girls, Nancy and Gloria Mary Jo, they had their own bedroom. And then my mom and dad had the other bedroom. A difficult situation. I don't know. Our whole life was kind of difficult, so can't really say that we'd got over anything. going away on the weekend at the farm. You know, I got to be away from all the headaches, and even though I had to work, you know, I did work out there and stuff, it was still enjoyable.
And what did
Right.
you do up there?
Well, I did, you know, the cleaning of the barns and stuff, and then when they get more horses or something, we build on new, you know, bigger barns. So I did that. So I did some carpentry work and drove tractor and stuff, and just did anything that needed to be done. Worked on trucks, and I don't know.
Who were these people?
They were friends of my parents. I can't remember if it. I think it was they were. I think Russell Mack knew my dad, and because he worked at Campbell's, and I think my dad worked at Campbell's at one time before he was a well driller. But he couldn't. He didn't like the work, so he didn't work there very long and quit. And I don't know if that, you know, like Russell Mack. I can't remember if he. Met him there and they were friends or something, but they were friends. And yeah, they knew I was a good worker, so they was happy to have me come out there for their weekend. And then they knew, you know, that we didn't have a very good family. It was kind of hectic, and they knew my dad was an alcoholic. So yeah, he had us out there. We also lived on Henry Street too. My grandma lived just down the road from where we live. I was a skinny little kid, and I don't know. We didn't do, I mean, we had to stay home. We couldn't leave the yard a lot of times, so yeah, just kind of hung around home or stayed outside, played, came in, and usually come in, had to be in by dark, go to bed.
How about as a student?
As a student, I don't know, I didn't mind school. I wasn't one of the better dressers, and so I kind of felt bad, you know, but I don't know, it didn't bother me a lot. I went, and once I went to high school, I had to move on to high school. I didn't really care for that because our elementary school went all the way up to 9th grade, so I kind of stayed right in the neighborhood, and I knew everybody that was there. And when I went to the high school, I went to Muskegon High School, it was all new faces, and wasn't too many people there I knew. And then they had, you know, they had started algebra and stuff there, and it was really confusing. So I skipped a lot of classes, or go over to my grandma's house, my mom's mom, and play cards with her. And I'd walk from the Heights all the way down to where she lived on Laketon, take the railroad tracks down there. And I did that quite a bit. And finally in 10th grade, I just didn't want to go anymore, just quit. And got a job, worked at Fox's Industrial. Well, I used to work in celery fields when I was younger, picking celery and driving tractors there and weeding on a weeding machine. And then I worked at Fox's Industrial, and I did some painting there, spray painting for making tank parts. I'd spray paint them when they come through on the line. And then after I quit there, and when I got drafted, and I went in the Army. That was in 1971, January of 71. When I turned 19, when I was, in December, when I turned 19, I got my draft notice. And so I spent 2 years in service. Went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for my basic training for a couple months. I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and for my AIT training, which was for artillery, and then I took a maintenance motor pool class where I could work on trucks. So that was a pretty good class. I liked that. And then I came home on leave, got married to Cindy, and from there I was going to Germany. And so after we got married, I told her that I'd have her come over to Germany once I got there and got settled in. So once I did get there and get settled in, then I got an apartment off base and then had her come over. We had our first child there, Carrie, in Frankfurt, Germany, and we stayed there. And I came back. Carrie and her mom came back late '72, and then in January '73 I got out of the army and came home. And then Cindy came home early, and she ended up finding a house on Warden Street where we moved and raised our family, and we ended up selling that. And we got out on Heights Savannah Road, and we've been there for probably 50-some years.
Okay, I have to just go back. Your grandma, did she know you were skipping school to play cards with her?
She did.
And?
She did, I guess she just figured that's what I was going to do. That's what I was going to do.
So she just enjoyed playing cards with you? And
That's
hanging
right. And she didn't like my dad either. Because actually, when she would come over to visit us, if my mom would talk, make my dad mad, and then we'd have to follow my grandma all around. So all of us kids, any place she went, we followed her.
Why?
Just to aggravate my mom.
Did you have any dreams or hopes as a child?
Not really. Didn't have time to think about it.
You were more in survival mode, kind of.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What was one of the best decisions you ever made?
Probably going to college. Because I like working with electronics, and I mean, that's what I studied when I went to college, and so then I ended up getting a better job where it's something that I like doing. Okay, I got married, and I ended up getting after I got out of service, I got a job at Port City Volkswagen, and because I studied Volkswagens when I was over in Germany, and I worked in a German garage over there for training. So I ended up writing them a letter when I got out of the service, and I wrote to Port City Volkswagen here in Muskegon, for a job, and I said as soon as I get out of the service, I'd get a hold of them and they would hire me. So I had my job all lined up when I come back, and I did that for probably a year and a half, 2 years, and then they didn't pay enough. I mean, I was only making $3 an hour, and so I ended up quitting there. And Ravenna Foundry, my brother worked out there, Jim, and he ended up getting me a job in there. So I started out there at $4.50, and I worked there for almost 20 years. And then they went out of business, and so then there was another, Seal Power ended up buying it. It used to be Ellery Gray Iron. Seal Power ended up buying it, and then they had another plant in Muskegon. One was on Harvey Street, and one was on Jefferson Street. I ended up transferring over to the Harvey Street, but it was a different union, so I couldn't take my seniority with me, so I lost, my seniority, because when I hired in out to Ravenna, it was 25 and out, so you can get 25 years in and start drawing your pension. But so I didn't have any kind of pension from out there. So when I went to Harvey Street, I worked there for 11 years, and then they went out of business. And then so I didn't get no pension there either. I had some stocks that I bought, and I had I think I paid in around $80,000 or $90,000 worth of stocks, and then they matched me, so I had like $180,000 for my retirement. Well, they filed bankruptcy, so I lost every cent of that, and then they ended up moving all of our machinery to Mexico, and so I was in maintenance when I was there at Seal Power. And I started out as an electrician in Urbana, and then I went to Harvey Street, and I went right in there being an electrician. And so I learned all the, from taking my electronic classes and everything. My daughter ended up teaching me my algebra so I could get my degree. And my wife did some of my book reports and stuff that I hated to do, reading my books. College, I was in my probably mid-40s, and I went there. I enjoyed that. I took all of my electronic courses first before I took any of the stupid classes that you have to take. So I don't really care for literature and history and all that kind of stuff. But I took the main courses that I needed, and so I did all my electronic labs and everything, and so I got to learn what I wanted to know. And then I was gonna quit after that, but my wife Cindy ended up talking me into finishing so I get my degree, because that's all I needed was my English class and history class and math class. So I ended up doing that and got my associate's degree. she was a very good mother and a very good wife. I just enjoyed, being with her my whole life. We've had a lot of good times together. We did a lot of camping with the kids, and went to Niagara Falls. And we tried to have a good life as best we could. We've had our troubles along the way, but she's always she's always there to back me and anything I do, and kind of encourage me along. Yeah, I just love her for being her. Our wedding was kind of simple. I came home from the service. I got married in my uniform. We got married in her church. Her dad furnished all the food and everything. It was a good wedding. It wasn't. It was kind of nice. We had Carrie over in Germany, and so as soon as she was born, we took her back to our German little house, and I lived with them. Excuse me. I lived there with them for probably about a year before they ended up returning home. And then when I came, once I got released in January '73, came home and got your mother Cindy pregnant again, and we had Cheryl. And we just, I just raised my family the best I could. Getting laid off a lot. When I first started working, when I came back, it seemed like every time I turned around, I was getting laid off. Because, they'd work. First I worked at the Volkswagen. I didn't get laid off there because, mechanics are pretty demanding. They always needs new mechanics. So, but when I quit there, I went to the foundry. Then I would get laid off, and then once business would pick back up, they'd call me back. But yeah, sometimes I didn't know if I was going to make my house payment or not. So, money was kind of tight. No, just being with my mom, after we got older. I like being with my grandma too, playing cards and stuff with her. She was enjoyable. I didn't like the way my dad treated her though. It used to be when I was just a kid, my only one that I had was Philip Edgerton, and he was my neighbor. And we did a lot of things together, bike riding. And then your mom's brother, Harold, I did a lot of motorcycle riding and stuff with him, so we kind of hung out together. And yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot of friends. Once I had some, a few friends out to the farm when I went out there, but they were, older people.
How about now?
I have quite a few friends, but I don't actually hang out, a lot of them. I hang out with my brother Jim and my 2 girls, their families. My least favorite job, I think it was being a mechanic. I didn't really like being a mechanic. It might have been for the lack of schooling, but I knew a lot about cars, and but when you get, they make changes in cars, like every year, so it's hard to keep up with them. And you can learn the basics and learn how to do certain things, but then if they start changing things, like right now they went to computers and stuff, so it really gets hectic now. And it's just kind of demanding for you, and it doesn't pay that good. So anytime you get, I would recommend anybody to ever get a job to get something that they really like doing. My favorite job is working as an electrician, or a mechanic, a maintenance guy. You know, I did a lot of welding and stuff, you know, when I was in the foundry. And I like that kind of work, you know, fixing things and building things and troubleshooting. I love troubleshooting. Well, I like to fish and I like to hunt. I like to bowl. I like to play the guitar. Do a little singing, but probably not real good. The best advice. I guess probably Nana told me to start saving my money so I could have some kind of retirement. Because I always wanted to retire when I was 30. I learned that if you don't overindulge in alcohol and to work harder. Any regrets? No, I can't say I have any regrets. Life is what it is. You just take it and you live with it. Probably, I have a couple of them. Getting my associate's degree was one, and landing a better job was another one. Quit smoking was another one. The meaning of life is to help others. That everybody stays in peace with each other and happy, and you know, have good families. A secret. I guess that's still gonna be my secret.
What's one thing that you're really proud of yourself for and you've never told anybody that you're proud of yourself for?
I don't know. Most grateful for having a nice family. I'm
And how-
proud of the way both of my kids turned out. I guess just have them try to leave a good life, and when they do decide to get married and settle down, you know, make sure that they pick the right girl and someone that they're going to stay with for the rest of their life. But I do have my mother's macaroni salad that everybody seems to like. Yeah, the first time we made turkey stuffing was in Germany, and I didn't know how to make it. Your ma thought she knew how to make it, but she put it all together and it just didn't look like dressing. So she got mad and got all teary-eyed because she couldn't make her dressing, and then she started squeezing it, and she says, "Oh, that's it. You gotta squeeze it." So once you make your dressing, you just squeeze it and it all comes together. I don't really think you need to honor me. Our family, I think we got a pretty good family. We had a few rough times once you guys got into your teens, but we worked through it. I mean, it wasn't nothing awful. It's just I liked a little bit more, you know, to clamp down on. But And I know you kids didn't like it, but I tried to make two good, nice kids. And I love both of them right now because they did turn out good. I just worked hard, and you know, I never missed a day of work unless I was totally down. And I did that once when I was working in Ravenna. Yep, I had the flu for 3 days in bed. But yeah, I work hard and try to provide for my family. Oh, I would have liked to have gone to college right after high school. I would have liked to finish high school, but if I'd have had been raised in a different environment, I probably would have.
And then what, at 18 or whatever, what career do you think you would have chosen?
Well, I don't know. Originally, I was going to be a doctor, so I mean, if I'd have had, you know, money in the family, I would have took that approach. Because it's just like, you know, I like working with things with my hands and doing mechanical work and electrical work. And the same thing working on somebody's body. I'd say make sure they get enough college to do what they want to do and to think about what they really want to do and to get something that they're really going to enjoy doing. Don't just take any kind of job. Probably, well, definitely would have, you know, went to college sooner. Yeah. But the first part of my life, I mean, when you're growing up, you just, until you get old enough to realize what's going on, you just do crazy things. And I did a lot of crazy things, like riding motorcycles, and doing stupid stuff, getting run over by cars. Well, we used to go up north in the summertime. We got a little bit older, I was 15, 16. Picked cherries. We stayed with people on a farm, some friends of theirs, Gordon and Minnie Haven, and she was an Indian woman, and he was just an old guy. He worked at the logging mill where they'd roll logs in and they'd made paper out of them. And he was a hard-working guy, and easygoing, nice guy. And we stayed with him, and we get partying up there a little bit. My brother threw a beer bottle up in the air one day and come down and hit him in the head. He was drunk, but that hurt. But we enjoyed, you know, going up there and making some money. We'd buy our school clothes and stuff. Okay, we was out. Mom, we went to pick him up. We go pick him up at work, and he would. We was on our way home. He'd always like to stop and get a quart of beer and drink it on the way home. Back up there on the old country roads was nobody around. So we was driving on the road, drinking, and then us boys wanted to get out and ride on the car. So I got on the right front fender, and my brother David got on the trunk, and Jim got on the trunk. We was riding down the road. I don't know what happened, but we ended up, there's a bridge in the road, and ended up hitting it right on my side. And I fell off the front, right down in front of the car, and the front tire run right straight over my shoulders. And it was on my shoulders, and everybody was out of the car. It knocked me out for a split second. And everybody was looking for me. He said, "Where's Jerry?" Because David, they seen him. He was down the road. His face got all gravel from landing on the gravel. It was all scraped up. Jim fell in the ditch. Nothing really happened to Jim, but I got run over. So they asked, when they was howling, "Where's Jerry at?" I said, "I'm under here." And the only thing that was sticking out was my head and my arms. And So the tire just rolled off my shoulders. And then they ended up pulling me out, and I got out, stood up. My collarbone was sticking out right in here. And other than that, I felt okay. So we ended up going in the hospital, and then they reset my collarbone, and my back, the middle of my back was all broken too. But they didn't really want to put that in a cast. They said they thought they would heal back together. So they put me in straps for my collarbone anyway, strap my arm down. They said that would probably help with the back. So they didn't cast that. So I had to wear that for 6 months, and then that was fine. My favorite meal, mashed potatoes and gravy. Maybe a steak. Favorite vacation? I don't know. We went to Maine, been to Germany. That wasn't a vacation. Went to the UP. We were both pretty good vacations. I guess any vacation you go on is good. You get away from everything else. Well, my oldest daughter's Carrie. She went to college and she got her master's degree, and then I think she even got another degree after that. But she did really good. I'm proud of her. And she was a teacher for quite a few years, still teaching. And she made a good life for herself. She has 3 boys. Cheryl, she did good. She did not go to college, but she got into real estate, and she did really good for herself. She's like me, a little bit ornery, but she's a good girl. She has two nice girls. So I got 2 granddaughters and 3 grandsons. Hayden is, he reminds me of a high-class person. He likes to do everything his way, and he's got an expensive taste. But I think he learned that from his parents. Hayden, he's more self-driven. He's motivated. He's not afraid to get out and do anything. He's just hasn't made up his mind what he wants to do in life yet, which maybe once he gets another year of college in, and he'll have a better idea what he wants to do. But he'll make his decision. He's a good boy. Jackson, he's kind of laid back like I am. He kind of just takes life as it is. He ain't really decided what he wants to do yet. But he'll figure it out. Landon, he's a little hellraiser. But he's a nice kid. And I really enjoy going to karate with him. Macy, your mom goes and sees her every Wednesday night, usually. And I love her. She's just a nice person. But I don't see her as much as Cindy does. But I really enjoy him when I do see him. And Kate, she's kind of like her mom. She's like a little ornery, and then takes after me again. But she'll work through it. They'll both be nice girls. Kate likes to get into activities. She likes soccer. She likes to ride horses. Kind of what I was doing when I was younger, was riding horses. And she's kind of a fun little girl. I already have everything set up for burial. When my father died, and then my brother died, my younger brother, and then my mother died. So I didn't want my kids to have to go through all the trouble that I went through, getting everything ready and making all the tough decisions. So we just went ahead and prepaid for it all ahead of time. So everything's paid for. So when we die, it's all they have to do is just show up. I don't know. I guess probably if somebody needed help, that I'd be there to help. I'm done?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, good. Now I'll have that beer.